We know for a fact that almost any agent who's been in the market for over 3 years has at least a database of 1,000 leads. 1,000 leads is worth about $270,000 in commissions. That's just sitting there waiting for you. It's just like a chest of gold that you're just ignoring, and you have bills stacking up, right?
Hey, welcome back to the Accelerate Your Insurance Sales Podcast. Andy Neary here, CEO and founder of Complete Game Consulting. I'm excited today. I am joined by Michael McMillan, president of Financialize, one of the most forward-thinking voices in the insurance and lead generation industry. Michael has spent over 2 decades building and scaling high-performing sales operations, helping thousands of agents grow their business through smarter systems, technology, and data. He leads several innovative brands, including annuities.net, which helps consumers connect with licensed professionals to secure their retirement income, and lifepolicyexpress.com, a digital-first platform simplifying how families shop for life insurance. Under Michael's leadership, Financialize has become known for transforming how insurance leads are generated, verified, and converted, bridging the gap between advanced automation and real human connection. I'm excited to have Michael. Welcome aboard.
Hey, appreciate you having me here today.
This is going to be a fun episode because what we're going to focus on today is scalability and lead generation. And it's something that everybody in the insurance industry wants to know more about. How do I open more doors and generate more leads? We actually have a program we provide through our services where we do social media content for people. We make sure they're building the brand every day. And even through that program, we get pushback like, why am I not getting any leads from the content? We're like, well, you got to still put a little work in to actually generate the leads. But I think what they're going to learn from today is you guys are doing a lot of good things to help give them leads on a silver platter. But before we get there, I actually want to start here. Offline, I asked, we have all our guests fill out a form. And one thing you said that really just perked my interest because I want to know more. When you were in your 20s, you weighed 420 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
If you're watching the video right now and looking at Michael, this is not a 420 pound dude. But you lost 200 pounds over the course of 15 years. How the heck did you do that, man?
Yeah, it was a journey, to say the least, right? I should say with me, so in 2009, I kind of hit this moment, right? And I'll never forget it. I was at a conference, actually, and I was sitting there listening to a speaker who eventually became my mentor, a guy named Jack Daly. And Jack was talking about, he's a sales speaker, so he's talking about sales and all this, but he had this comment about how if you can't control yourself, how can you control a sale? And I still to this day can remember him hitting us with that. And I remember after this speech, I was back up in my room and I was just kind of sitting there. I was just, in my room by myself, and across the room, I could see the scale. And I don't know why it kind of like said something to me, like I should go step on that thing. And mind you, at that point, when you're that big of a boy, scales have one number. It's ERR, right? It's not a number. But it's kind of like, when you're that big, it kind of gives you protection because you don't have to visualize that number. Well, that day I stepped on that scale, and lo and behold, it was like, I guess a lot of big boys live there or something, because it said a number, and I'll never forget. It was actually 421. It was actually what it was. And it just kind of smacked me in the face. And went back to Chicago, where I'm from and where I was living back then. And it took me a while to kind of put my head around it. But one day I finally just clicked, and I'm like, you know what? I got to do something about this. Like, I'm going to die early. And I'd been talking to Jack a lot at that point, and we'd been starting to foster a relationship. And I said, you know what? This dude's in his 50s, 60s, running triathlons, Ironman, and all that stuff. Like, I gotta, like, if I can't do this, who can, right? Like, this is ridiculous. So I put it on Facebook. I just said to everyone, I'm like, hey, you know what? Next year, because it was August, I'm like, next year I'm going to run the Chicago Triathlon. And that was.
And you were 421 pounds at this time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So over the course of the next year, I succeeded. I failed. I did a lot of things. But the big thing is I joined this group called CES, Chicago Endurance Sports. And I still remember the faces of all those guys like freaking out when they saw me. But I went through it. And a year later, at 310 pounds, I crossed the finish line of the Chicago Triathlon, which I'm just going to sit here and tell you right now, if any big people are out there like thinking about doing this, like crossing a finish line at 300 pounds sucks on so many levels. Like my back was shot, my legs were destroyed. But my mentor came. He actually flew in to do this with me, and we got this great photo. I'll have to send it to you of him and I finishing in front of Buckingham Fountain. It was an incredible moment, and that's what started it all. Really, was showing myself I could accomplish something if I just am willing to put in the effort to do so. And so, over the next few years, I just kept after it. I had some, made some good things, did some bad things, and up and down, up and down. But yeah, man, I mean, you're talking about 20 years later almost. I've kept it off. My lowest I was about a buck 98. Or sorry, no, sorry, 201 was my lowest. 201 was my lowest. But I've completed 4 different marathons, more triathlons than I could count. I actually competed competitively in an age group at one point,
Wow.
century rides, ultras, like I've done all of that stuff. And yeah, man, it was a journey. But I tell everyone is if anything endurance sports will teach you, especially having been a big kid all my life, is it teaches you what it means to grind and what it means to literally have to put in the work to get the reward at a later time, right?
Yeah.
Just because I crossed the finish line, that's one thing, but the real reward and being able to play with my kids and doing all that, that came years and years later. And that's what it teaches you. It teaches you patience and it teaches you how to grind.
I love that, man. That's why I wanted to start with that, because I'll even go back to what you heard Jack say, right? If you're in sales, for example, where you're physically in front of somebody, don't think for a minute how you physically look doesn't determine the level of credibility you have.
Oh yeah.
It's a
Oh yeah.
big deal in sales. And but what I'm actually really admire is you see a lot of people who do go through a weight loss journey,
Hmm.
but very few keep it off.
Yeah. Oh
And the fact you not only lost that amount of weight, but have kept it off ever since. And my knees started to hurt when
yeah.
you talked about doing the triathlon, because I've never been that big, but I could just imagine the pounding
uh,
your knees took running the run portion of the triathlon.
yeah. Yeah. It's like nothing. I mean, when you're that big, you don't really feel that weight until that kind of moment, right? And I
Yep.
mean, and luckily I was always a swimmer. I mean, as a kid, I was a swimmer, so the swim portion's always been decent for me. And I mean, hey, listen, fat floats, right? I mean, I mean, let's
Well
be
said.
real.
I
So,
was a chunky kid and a swimmer as well, so I respect that, man. Well, let's talk about Financialize, your
yeah,
company. You know, if you listen to the intro, I did say, hey, your company does generate leads in the annuity and life insurance space, but I think the conversation we're going to have today applies to anybody selling insurance. And one of the reasons you founded Financialize was to tackle poor quality leads and outdated processes in the industry. When it comes to lead generation, what gaps did you see in the market, and how does your platform address them?
yeah. So just to clarify one thing, so I took over Financialize actually just
Okay.
in May. So a gentleman named Kevin is actually the founder of it over 20 years ago. And I mean, but I can speak to him very easily. I mean, what Kevin saw was is he looked at the space and he saw a very clear need for agents who needed leads because the agents who were buying leads were being successful. If you looked at the MDRT, the Million Dollar Roundtable, and you looked at top end producers, there is a consistent there's a consistent trend there, which is they're purchasing leads to help them take beyond their natural markets, right? And it's consistent throughout the MDRT. And of course, the old school boys, listen, I know they're going to fight back on that and comment to death about how no, natural market's the best. And I'm not disagreeing with that, but you have to compensate it some way. Um, but where the biggest issue was is especially into the digital world, right? As you get into COVID times, COVID changed the game forever, right? You got into this digital landscape to where your biggest competitor wasn't Chuck down the street. It was the nation and anybody who was licensed in your state now. And it really made the playing field very different. And lead gen had to step its game up, but actually it got worse. I mean, you get all the Instagram scammers, you get all of this stuff. And where Financialize really set our bar was we were never going to sell low quality leads. That was our bedrock and still is our bedrock to this day. Um, and with that is what we focused on. We said, well, how do we do that? Well, we made it simple. We're going to hire US call center agents who work for us, and we're going to phone verify all of these people. And if we don't phone verify them, we're not going to sell them. And the other part was thinking as a salesperson. I don't want my lead with five other schmucks trying to sell my client and distracting them from getting a deal done. That's going to help them. So we're going to sell one to one, and that's how we do it. And that pairing of exclusivity with verification it is the secret sauce of Financialize and has been. And it's just we've perfected it over a 20-year period to make it to where it is today. But I will say on all that though is today, especially since I took over, one of the big things I installed in our company was what we call our North Star. And our North Star is if our agents win, we win. And that is how we focus everything we do, from our blog posts to our videos to like literally everything goes through that filter. And if it's not going to help our agents, we don't do it. It's that simple. And sometimes it's us taking a haircut on things, or it's us having to go and, hey, we did something wrong. I mean, hey, we're just human. Then let's make it up to you. How do we help you? Maybe it's, we're going to make it right in many different ways, but it's how we make your agency go forward. And that's how we look at life.
Well, and I think to back up your point, because I'm sure there's a lot of lead generation services out there saying we provide the highest quality leads, but I think only 22% of your leads actually pass verification.
That's right.
So with as much as you're willing to share, talk about that a little bit, because again, I think everybody would say we provide high quality, but that's a pretty low number. And I'm a big, we preach quality over quantity, not any lead. You got to have the right leads. 22% a pretty high fail rate. Why is that important?
Yeah, I tell everybody is for your success should never be measured by success should never be measured by your wins. It should be measured by your failures, right? Like you have to look at that in that scale. We actually look at it as a success when we're that low. And honestly, if I could bring it lower, I potentially would if I know it increased quality to a measurable amount. So what we're doing is I mean you're talking about everything from digital verificationing, skip checking. We're looking at financial auditing. And then on top of that, the big boy is phone verification, right? I mean, anybody can text or email someone and get a response back. That doesn't mean it's a qualified lead until you have literally spoken to that person or at least gotten two-way communication to say, yes, this is the investable amount, and ask the next question. Like our agents, what they trust us with most, and I would say, and mind you, I'm a licensed agent myself, right? I've done this walk. The thing I one of the day one of the things I first changed when I came in, because I saw great quality, I wanted to make it amazing quality. And I said, let's do it. I'm like, here's the easiest way. When a person tells you has their 401k, is it liquid? We didn't ask. So now we ask, right? And so what does liquidity mean? Well, are you 59 and a half, or are you out of that current employer so we can roll over that 401k? If not, that money's not accessible. So again, it changes the dynamic. And that's where, our education on what we call our LAS team, it's our lead activation specialist. The education on that team is what helps our agents get what they need out of these leads. And that's how we measure it, is just making sure that quality is always at the utmost. Because listen, anybody can sell leads for a year. It takes a special kind of patience to be able to sell leads for a decade, let alone multiple decades.
Well said. Well said. Yeah. I think one of the core factors you bring up, and it's a conversation I just had with my business coach this morning, is everybody's trying to automate everything, right? And any insurance agent out there would love to automate the lead generation process. We get challenged to automate the lead generation process, and we're trying to figure it out ourselves. But you also preach that there has to be a human touch, has to remain in order for lead generation to be successful. And I agree with that. How can agencies, so what advice would you give to agencies, leaders out there who are trying to generate more leads for their producers? How do they balance automation and retain the personal connection to make it effective? Because we've got to have the human touch in there.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, and just to put an exclamation point next to that, right, is I mean, I tell everybody, especially in life and annuities, you're talking about the two most sensitive topics of a human being's life. Their life savings and their death. But and really, I guess you go into their legacy as well, right? And so, with that, you've got to remember that is just purely human. There's nothing robotic about that at all. So what we pay attention to, so we've got a service that actually works through that, which is making sure that we're following up with agents' leads and such. And with that, we have to strike that balance carefully as well. So it's how do you balance out that AI automationing with that human touch. And what we found, and what when we went through this, it took us months to actually get this thing built. What we discovered was identifying those key human moments, right? Where is those specific moments that are really needs that emotional connectivity of trust? Where are those? So when we laid out our customer experience journey and we laid out every step and every email, every text, every phone call, we identified key moments that was going to be critical that we needed to inject that human voice and that human touch into it, whatever it may be. And that's how we pay attention to it, even to the way we hand off the lead to the agent, back into the agent. We had to make a choice. I mean, just an easy one. I could either chose to put it into a schedule and send it to them, or I could start it. I and made the investment. We did. We spent a lot of money to increase the technology set to where we now do warm transfers with those leads, and we at least can offer it. And the reason we did is because we increased conversion, well, at least I mean conversional rates up to almost 30% by just doing a warm handoff and handing it from our LAS team back into the agent. So the person had that human to human touch all the way through versus cold appointment, which is now you're just a name on a calendar. So it's just identifying those key moments, those trigger moments that are going to make that impression and really change the dynamic of that relationship you're building with that person.
Well, and expand on that a little bit, because that warm handoff is really, really important. But I think another thing you guys do that probably makes you a little different than other lead generation programs is you have lead exclusivity,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
means you're handing a single lead to a single producer. This isn't a shared lead system. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I back in the day, I actually going kind of my way back machine. There was a company out there called Buyer Zone. I still remember those guys, and this was in the B2B world that I come from. And I remember being one of their first customers, and they were very upfront with it. Right? They're like, we sell this lead to 5 companies, and it's only those 5 companies. Back in those days, I was like, this is fantastic. But what you end up finding is you're competing with yourself half the time because it's speed to lead and who can get them to them first and who can basically blot out the rest of them, right? And it's just this weird competitive environment. When I came into insurance and started doing insurance, I did everything, right? I was just your typical newbie, right? I was like, oh, I got life, I got health, I got PNC, I got it all, right? And I'll never forget buying my first lead. And I call this guy, and he goes, "You're the 11th person to call me in the last hour." And I was like, "Oh God, here we go." Right. And I got read the riot act, and I got the guy to laugh a little bit because I'm like, well, at least you got a lot of people's attention. I'm like, it's better than going on Insta where you could just post it to nothing. And he just, started cracking up. But my point is agents need to create relationships. And if your lead provider isn't starting that relationship the right way, you're fighting against the wrong thing. Like, you want to hear a scary thing right now? This open enrollment season has been a complete and utter freaking disaster. We actually we track the senior market very closely. Right now, we found out that the average senior is receiving between 600 and 700 phone calls on average per day, not per week, not per month, per day.
Wow.
I mean, you want to talk about destroying a market?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the problem,
Yeah.
right? And then you got guys like us who are just trying to verify that you asked us to call you, but we can't get through, right? And so we're having to go through other means, which we've already figured it out. But this is the problem when you start going into non-exclusivity, is because it's making the problem worse.
Yep.
Because every sales guy thinks we're the top shit, right? But we're not. We're all just normal people.
Yeah. That I hope, what I've heard so far in this conversation that I hope sales leaders and executives have heard as well is one, yes, there are opportunities to create more lead flow generation without your producers having to do the manual work.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can't just chase any lead. You still want high quality leads. When you're looking for a service like Financialize to help you do that, you got to find one that has a high failure rate. You said only
Mm-hmm.
22% of the leads you create pass. Um, and the point here is you don't want to just be handing producers any lead. It's got to be high quality. And I love that because I've worked at insurance agencies, Michael, where we had a cold calling service, right?
Oh yeah.
Book appointments for us. It was great. I'd have appointments on my calendar, but honestly, probably at least half of those meetings I went to, they didn't even want to be there in the first place.
Right.
And I started asking a question as a result of it. What intrigued you to take the meeting? And it wasn't uncommon for them to say, well, the guy on the phone won't let me off the hook. So I said, yes. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
great. You don't even want to be here. I might as well leave. And I think that's really important for people to hear. Like, lead generation isn't just about spamming and seeing how many leads you can create. It's about handing that off to somebody who's an expert at it, who's creating and handing you the right leads.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that said, let's go a little deeper into, I think, your newest program, which is Lead Revival,
Yeah.
which is a way agencies can really, what do we want to call it, rekindle old leads.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so talk a little bit about what is Lead Revival and how is it changing the way producers and agencies are thinking about old leads, which they might consider dead leads.
Yeah, yeah. So the Lead Revival actually was born out of, funny enough, actually my own agency that I have, right? And it was so inside of our agency. Mind you, I come from the call center and technology world, right? So I'm a technologist who has built mega call centers, right? I mean, I've had tens of thousands of agents over my career. And one of the things I learned back in the day was because I knew who I was when I was a starting sales guy. I, I honestly, I was really not good at follow up. I was lazy, as a good salesperson should be, right? And it's the reality is in the insurance space, and we've got so much research data we did on this, is that over 80% of producers will only call a lead twice and then give up. And they'll also love to count like emails and text as maybe even part of that, right? And picking up the phone seems to be like looking at kryptonite to most of these sales guys these days, right? Like, I mean, I came up, luckily, I'm an 80s baby, right? So I was brought up in the 90s world of like smile, dial, and do some more. And if you don't like it, then get the hell out, right? I mean, that was the sales world I came up in. So I'm not, but long story short with all this is that we know where the world is with this. And we know agents, especially agents who've been in this market for at least maybe a year or so, are sitting on enormous databases of leads, but they just don't know how to really work them, nor do they want to work them. And in our opinion, they shouldn't need to work them, because I don't want my agents focused on prospecting and doing all that. What I want them focused on is how to help their client get the best solution. Because if I can help them do that, again, it's how do I help my agents win? That's all I care about. So become the best in the chair. Don't get the best at calling on the phone and getting your prospect engaged. So that's where Lead Revival came from. So what Lead Revival is we took, so with Financialize, we already had enterprise grade systems. That was one of the things when I came in and took over as president. I was so happy about it, because we have the call center infrastructure, we have all the email automation, and all these systems already there. And so I decided, I'm like, wait, can't we just segment this out for each agency to get that same thing? And over about a 4-month period, we figure out how to do it. So now an agency can sign up. You go to myleadrevival.com, you sign up, you go through the spiel. And then what we do is we load that agency's brand, we load in all of their information in there, and then we call on their behalf. So literally, when our team is dialing, they call with the agency brand, which is helping with brand recognition. We're sending out email automation, we're sending out text, we're doing social media direct messaging. And we're doing all of these things to help re-engage the leads. we have found that on average, it's actually much higher, but we know for a fact that almost any agent who's been in the market for over 3 years has at least a database of 1,000 leads. 1,000 leads in an annuity and life blended world, so not just one, but because those all blended in there, is worth about $270,000 in commissions. So for every 1,000 leads, you're looking at 270 grand. That's just sitting there waiting for you. It's just like a chest of gold that you're just ignoring and you have bills stacking up, right? And that's what we built it for. And since launch last month, I mean the number of agents flock into this is incredible, and because they understand that we've already proven that we can get a hold of people. I jokingly tell people, once you're in my spider web, there is no getting out, right? Like it's not happening. It's like when Frodo got stuck in the spider and this spider got him at the end of the day. We're that same way, right? Once you're in our web as a consumer, we got you. And that's what agents need. They need that someone who's going to be that tenacious so they can go do their business, which is their business isn't calling. Their business is helping people. And that's what we're here to do. And that's what Lead Revival was built for.
Well, and I'd love to know, again, with as much as you're willing to share, because I think when I think of our clients and people in any realm of the insurance industry, they all have a list of cold leads sitting somewhere that are probably just they're not, I've seen lists as old as 5 to 6 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And they're trying to revive that list, and it's just not working. These people have no clue who they are. When you look at, again, what Lead Revival does, or just advice for an insurance agency sales leader who is just trying to figure out how you revive old leads, what are some key elements they need to consider?
Yeah, this is a great question, actually. And this is something we talk about with our agents a lot, especially through our agent educational channels. I mean, the biggest thing I will tell every agent is this: no matter what revival, whatever program you run to start trying to get those old leads to age leads to engage, the first thing that all of us are dependent upon is, what is your brand, right? Like, how well have you managed your own brand? If you've done a crappy job at managing your brand, or like you're not even on like Google Business Spaces, or you're not on you don't even have local presencing, can we work and can we operate? Absolutely. We're going to still show ROI. I mean, because I know what our numbers are. I mean, we're 11 to 13 times on our investment. So I have a lot of wiggle room to make mistakes, right? But if you have brand, like you've actually invested, you've actually become part of the chamber, you've done all these things to get digital branding, it just makes my life a million times easier. So what I always, well, and I shouldn't say I mean, our team really invests in our agents to show them how to do that, right? If you don't know how, work with a specialist who does know how, to let them teach you how to get in front of the press, how to actually start getting backlinks through like real sources, not just your buddy's plumbing website who says, oh, I use these guys too, but how to actually start boosting your brand presence and your brand authority. And a lot of that just is making sure that you got someone who knows what they're doing with it. And once you get that understood, and there's investment there, and some not can't even afford it, right? The things you can afford is just to be authentic, right? Is at least be out there and showing your authentic self in some presence, right? And start taking some things so your consumer can know who you are digitally, right? Shoot some video, put some stuff on social, and be real. And filter. Like, don't be overly real. Like, you got to be real to a point. Like, you got to make sure your political views don't need to be for everyone's point of view, right? Like, just let's be real. So that's point one, and I think it's so critical on that side of it. The second part too is no matter how old a lead list is, at some point they wanted something, and we've proven that time and testament. So just for an example, right now, actually, this week, my team is actually working we work back our old leads that we had. So we decided to pull up a lead list from 2012. Yeah, 2012 was in the Rocket today, and we had about 62,000 leads sitting in there. We actually converted almost 17% and revive them into our own business, right? This is my own internal age lead list that we have actually revived. And that's with little effort. We actually didn't do much on that because we know they were qualified. They meet all of our standards. But also, too, just so you understand, and this will be the last thing I'll say on this, is that an agent needs to know who their consumer is,
Yeah.
right?
ICP. Yep.
You, if you just think anyone with 200 grand and some kind of savings is your consumer, you are deathly set up to fail, right? Or anybody who has just bought a house is all of a sudden your market because you can sell them mortgage protection, or a business who has over 20 employees and you can sell them commercial protection. That is wrong. Like that is the worst thing you could ever do. You need to know I work with teachers because I have an educational background. I work with construction companies because I know their world and I've walked in their shoes. You've got to have a niche and start in a niche that is as specific and tiny as possible and then grow it into something bigger. And the more you do that and the more niches you can actually get yourself into, the more successful your agency will become.
So what I've heard, and I want people to hear this, and yes, I am biased, is for lead generation to be even more effective, especially with old leads, is you got to have a better brand presence.
Mm-hmm.
You got to bring
Absolutely.
value to them. And you've got to be able to get locked in on who your ideal client profile is. And that's who you need to be targeting. This isn't a spray and pray approach here.
Mm-hmm.
This is high quality leads only get developed if you know who you're going after and you build some kind of brand presence they recognize.
Absolutely.
Love that. And I
Absolutely.
think you said from an ROI perspective, yours is around 11 to 13x. Did I hear that?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, especially, yeah, and of course, as you get into different markets that we were service, I mean, our primary markets that we're so well known for is, of course, life and annuities.
Mhm.
As you
I was
know,
going to ask you, can I pause this real
yeah,
quick and ask
yeah,
a
yeah,
question as you go into this?
yeah,
With what you're doing, so someone might say, well, great, Michael. Yeah, you're doing B2C with life and annuity leads. Can this same approach be done in a B2B setting?
yeah. So let me answer that first, then I'll get
Okay.
into that question. So I come from B2B, right? Like
Okay.
if you actually look up me and you look at my background and what I'm mostly known for is B2B high performing sales teams. Like I consult with companies all over the world still to this day on how to create massive high B2B sales organizations. I was at a company called Acius that later sold to Five Nines. I've done a lot of things in the B2B world. This approach absolutely still is the same thing because even us, right? We're a B2B company. I don't like, I sell to agencies, but I also sell to IMOs. I work with carriers. So our sales company is a B2B company. The product we sell is B2C, right?
Mhm. Yep.
But the approach is exactly the same. Now, I'll put some caveats just so everyone's wondering on the B2B world. I teach what's called the squeeze method, which is it's been something I learned a long time ago, which is you need to work from the top and the bottom, and then put pressure in the middle
Mm.
for the person who's actually going to ultimately buy from you. So and that all comes from brand presencing. The way a CEO gets to know you is because you're everywhere. The way the lower part gets to know you is because you're educating them. And the more your brand is compressing your brand into that company with your education and your presence, the person in the middle, the director, the VP, whoever they are, is going to get into a situation where they cannot not make a decision, which is you.
Yeah.
And that's what led me to back in the day. I have roughly around, I think it was when I ended the B2B, my call center world, I was just around 4.5 billion in contractual sales over my sales career at that point. So yeah, it means a lot to me on the B2B side. So I won't go too far down that gambit, but yes,
Yeah.
you can do it.
I'm gonna ask you a couple questions in a minute here, just on sales
Yeah,
leadership, because
sure.
you've had a lot of success leading sales teams too. But one more question about lead revival, because you also have a 100% show guarantee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One thing I know about advisors in this industry is they love guarantees. How are you able to create a 100% show up guarantee rate?
It goes back again to what our North Star, right? If our agents are not winning, we're not winning, right? And making sure that, and I know I made every mistake. I kind of tell everyone all the R&D that's in lead revival came from my own agency back in the when I first started. I bought overseas call centers. I tried to do it myself, and I failed miserably. And the reason I failed was because I didn't hold people accountable to making sure that my people show up. Typical booking teams will only get you about anywhere on the low end 30%, high end is about a 55 to 60% show up rate. We put this in place because we wanted to tie our success to each other.
Mhm.
So we made it simple. We've got a nominal fee, which basically barely covers my overheads for actually doing the work for you. All of my success comes in our success fees. And if I
Mhm.
can't get a person to show up, then what did I do? I didn't
Yeah.
earn that money.
Yep.
So I don't charge you for it. And because again, all of our stuff is month-to-month contracting. Because again, I don't want my agents to ever feel like, oh God, what did I just tie myself? No, I want you to say, look, in 1 month, I submitted X number of apps, which has an of equal revenue to this in my commissions. I'm working on house money. And that's all I tell people. And my real goal, I mean, to be truly, fully transparent, is at some point I can deplete your lead list so much that guess what? You're going to need leads. And I just happen to know a company who sells leads. Now, is it is it self-sustaining? Yes, absolutely. I mean, it is very self-serving of me, but it's for my agent's best interest because at that point you should be rolling in commissions at that point.
Yeah.
And buying leads is a no-brainer at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. One sales leadership or sales coaching question related to lead revival. You've worked with thousands of agents. What separates the ones who thrive with lead revival and take full advantage of it versus those that, again, invested in something but just didn't put the effort in to get the result?
Yeah, I would tell you is the agents that we see who see success out of this are agents who are plugged in. And what I mean by that is who are paying attention. So
Mm.
they understand is when we, like for instance, if you choose to let us do warm transfers to you, be available. I mean, I've had agents who've wanted us to warm transfers. We can't get a hold of them to save our mortal soul, right? And we turned it off on them. We're like, no, we're not doing this to you because you suck at answering your phone. And even though like we gave you a phone number that literally we tell our agents, this is actually our agent training. We tell them when you save our phone number and put in the caller ID, how you put the custom one, answer or die, or like my life depends on this call, just to give you the psychological of understanding of us calling, right? And people don't answer their phone. Like,
Yeah.
be available and
Mhm.
communicate. And the other big thing is communication. Similar, if you've got bookings, then put them on your calendar. Like,
Amen, brother.
is it that hard to tell me when are not available? Like, what's so difficult about clicking on your calendar and booking some time out? That's the two. I mean, honestly, those are number one, number two. Be available and control your
And
schedule.
they sound obvious, but the reason I went amen, as you said, the second one is it blows me away how many people even have stuff on their calendar, yet don't
Mm-hmm.
look at their calendar and run your calendar is your judge and your jury.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one, get it on, and then two, follow your calendar.
Absolutely. And
So
prioritize.
that
And I,
spoke to my heart. Let's go
yeah.
big, broad picture on sales real quick before we dive in. I'm going to actually have you share a personal story, which I loved you shared offline. Then we're going to go into some rapid fire. Sales leaders, we have a lot of them tuning in here. You've trained a lot of them. What advice would you give an insurance agency sales leader right now when it comes to recruiting or training producers to put them in the best position to win?
Yeah, I would tell you is the first thing is first is assign them a mentor day one,
Hmm.
and do not let them go. Um, there's every company, every IMO, every carrier has their own little spiel with this, right? And some are like, oh, 10 deals and you're done, or 5 deals and you're done. No, you're done when you don't suck, right? You got to be able to like when I was running my sales operations, one of the things I did is I told everyone we go through a 3-step model, and this 3-step model depends on how fast you go from being greeny, sucky to actually a sales guy. This could take 1 month. This could take a year. I don't care because I'm going to make this worth everyone's while. And insurance space is easy. We have MDRT. It's a magical system. Like I wish I had MDRT in all my other business worlds because it's so simple. 5 points of 20%, and you get 20% based on what you do. Like, how simple can this world be? So guess what, Greeny? You come in, what are you going to do? You're riding shotgun. Like you're going to ride shotgun. You're going to sit there. You're going to shut up and listen for a second, right? Maybe a couple of calls, 1, 2 calls, right? If you do the lead gen though, and you create the lead, okay, great. Guess what? You got 20%. Oh,
Mhm.
you actually nurtured a lead and did something. Now you're at 40%, right? Oh, you actually spoke and fogged a glass. You're at 60, et cetera, right? But
Mhm.
my point is make sure those mentors also are getting that other side, and they should be. And don't start doing the stupid things of like, oh, the IMO is educating. No, you as an IMO are really not doing much anymore. It's the leader who's doing it, but you have to be invested. The
Yep.
biggest problem right now in the insurance market is what we all know. 2/3 of our industry is about to retire or die in the
Big
next 5 to
transition
10
coming.
years.
Yep.
And if we do not start getting these old timers raising up the next gen faster, we are going to be facing a really major problem. And we're
Yep.
already seeing it. I mean, listen, there's only so many Tom Hegnas and Roy Snars and all these other guys, this talking heads of the markets out there. We've got to raise this next generation. That's part of what we're trying to do, but we need the mentors. And I would
Yep.
say is find a mentor, stick to your mentor, and don't ever let them go.
Well, and for the sales leader, not only give producers a mentor, identify the right mentors.
Oh yeah.
Because I started my career at a captive insurance company, and I remember for the first 6 weeks there, I just did ride-alongs.
Yeah.
And I went to
Absolutely.
different district, different territory, different producer, and just rode along and saw what they did. I had to do that for 6 weeks. So I absolutely get that I agree. Mentorship is massive.
And a
Well,
recruiter is not a mentor, and that's the last thing I'll
bingo.
say.
Great point. Great point. Well, we're going to go into the get to know Mike here a little bit before
Sure.
we wrap. This has been awesome information, man. I hope if you're listening right now, lead gen is paramount in the insurance industry. But you can't take it lightly. You can't go completely hands off. To Michael's point, there is a human component that always has to be there, especially as we enter the realm of AI being a bigger part of lead generation. But there's a lot of people who tune in, Michael, who are entrepreneurs, probably have kids that have that same mindset. Share a little story you shared offline. I was blown away. Your daughter, I think 13 years old,
Yeah.
has become a hell of an entrepreneur. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, my kids, when you're in sales and marketing, one of the things your kids get to see is they get to see everything around you, right? And it's funny. Every once in a while, my kids will still even hit me when I go to board meetings or whatever. With like all of a sudden they hear my board talk and they're like, Dad, what's a cap table? And like or when I'm blowing money on something I shouldn't be. Is that fiscally responsible, Dad? But that's always a gut check moment from your 13. But my daughter, yeah, so my daughter, she had expressed interest in kind of what I started to do with online websites and such like that. So I started showing her some things like, hey, I got her Canva certified because she really liked how to design things. We were moving our company to Webflow from WordPress, which is a whole different topic, but the greatest thing we ever did as a company. And I started showing her, like, hey, look, this is how easy it is to create a website now. And she's, of course, 13. So she loves influencers. And I told her, I'm like, listen, you need to start making money off of this if you're going to do this. Like, you're blowing money, like, you're blowing your time, which I consider money, on dancing in front of your phone to other people's songs to help make them money. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, just the businessman in me does not understand the ROI in this at all. I told her, I'm like, look, here's how you could do something. Like, why don't you start offering kids who want to be influencers and specifically their parents an opportunity to start actually doing this? And so she has, and she's building this little business from this of like how she can help create, marketing and presencing for these potential up and coming influencers for these kids and sell it to them. And she's been able to monetize it to a pretty good perspective. I mean, she'll probably within her first year, be well on her track to 6 figures on it and be able to really see something out of there. And the key on it is that she made it very simple for herself. It's a passive business that she's learned how to use automation on, where the human approach of this, going back to our other part, is the relationship aspect between her and the client and understanding what the client's wants and dreams are, and also helping educate them on what results really should look like and the time span to achieve those.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to be Mr. Beast overnight. You're going to take years and years and years of hard effort. And I'll tell everyone, just for all the parents out there, including myself, if you really want to teach your kids how sucky it is to be an influencer, show them their schedule to become an influencer. You want to talk about the gut check moment for people? My daughters, both of them, have wanted this until I showed them. You have to film a minimum of 3 videos per day, every day, plus editing. And that editing portion probably pretty much negates the whole concept. I want to do this usually within about a week.
Well, I hope people are 13-year-old making 6 figures. This is success because of all the things we have available at our fingertips today, success has never been easier in a way, but it still requires the work ethic, the consistency, showing up every day. I absolutely love that, man. I hope people heard that. You know, you can make money doing almost anything today.
Yeah.
As long as you put your mind to it, you stay focused and you stay consistent. So that's awesome. Well, let's get to know you a little bit before we wrap up. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. I'm into habits, discipline, rituals. You've had a hell of a journey with your weight loss. Let's start with morning routine. What does the typical morning routine look like for you?
Yeah, my morning routine is actually one of the most important things in my life. When I wake up every morning, one of the things that I learned from another gentleman I work with, I've gotten a chance to know and become friends with, is I wake up in the Word every day. So the first thing I do is grab my Bible app. I look at the verse of the day, and I spend some time in the Word. It's very important for me now at this point in my life to be connected to my spiritual life, and it's something that's very critical to me. After that, I really make sure I dive into my family. I make breakfast every morning for my family. I make my kids lunch, every day. We get up early. I mean, we're up at 5:15 in the morning every single day. It's not a late start family. We get moving. And then from there, it's really, getting my mindset, either a walk or some kind of movement to get myself moving, and then starting to get my day going. Email, if you notice, is one of the last parts of that day, and social media has zero portion of my morning. I used to wake up to a slave to my communication and phone, and I refuse to do so. I always told everyone, you have to first protect your brain and get your mindset, and then you can start your day.
I love that. What are you reading right now? Any books you recommend?
So it's funny. I love this question. Actually, I just forced my team to read this book now too. One of my mentors, he got me reading. It's an older book. It's called The Goal. It's about manufacturing, specifically. Um, it's required reading for most MBA programs, so a lot of people have probably seen it out there and read it. Um, I will tell you, maybe because I just have such a marketing and operational bent to me, it was one of the most impactful reads I've had in probably the last year and a half to 2 years. Um, and the reason for it is because if you can at least get your brain out of the fact that they're talking about manufacturing and understand it, how it relates into your business, the impacts are enormous. And for us, because we deal in enormous volumes of leads, right? I mean, we're talking,
Yep.
I don't deal with like tens and twenties of leads. I'm talking tens of thousands of leads that we deal with per
Yep.
month, and the goal showed us inventory issues and how that we were making
Mhm.
mistakes and how to improve them. So yeah, I definitely highly recommend anybody to read The Goal.
And you said The Goal?
Yeah, it's called The Goal.
Perfect. You got an hour here to do a workout. What's your workout of choice today?
So back in the day, I'd tell you I'd be swimming for probably 30 to 45 minutes of that, and then do some type of weight training. I have swapped that now. I'm much more on the weight side of it. I'm lifting. Usually for me, it's still keeping my lower body still in good shape. So a lot of squats, a lot of all those kind of. But I focus most on weights now. I injured my hip in a triathlon, so partially why. But now that is starting to slowly pivot backwards. I have decided to come out of retirement on the triathlon world. I, God, I can't believe I'm about to admit this on someone's podcast. So at 45, I decided I am going to finish my first Ironman. I got injured getting ready for my first Ironman. It's taken me a number of years to come back, but I've decided this year that
Hell
here
yeah.
we go. I'm declaring it to the world at 45. I am.
Declaring it on podcast, national TV, national
Oh,
audience.
here
I
we
love
go.
it. No,
Here we go
I've done
again.
three. I've done three in my lifetime, man. So I respect that. That's awesome. How about afternoon? You got an afternoon to yourself. What are you doing? What are you spending that time doing?
Well, if it's a Saturday, my Tennessee Vols are on, and I'm
Woo!
yelling at a TV. There's only one team in our family, and it's orange and white, and it looks like a creamsicle. So it's that's on a Saturday. Outside of that, I'm an enormous. So my therapy is cooking. If you actually go on my personal Instagram page, you're going to think you just found a chef's page and not mine. My grandmother was a baker. I love to cook, and the more complex, the more ethnic it is. Our family is like the UN of families. My wife is Korean. My grandmother's from Mexico. My grandfather's Scott. I mean, like we're literally Heinz
Yeah.
57, a normal, typical American family. So our cuisine is relevant, and that's what we do, man. We cook. We love to cook, and And being in a family who's trying to maintain weight is not always the easiest thing. So you can imagine being physical is another side of it.
I get it. I get it. Well, last question, man. Why should I hire Financialize?
You want to hire Financialize specifically for the fact that if you're looking for high quality, exclusive leads that you know your business can actually scale from and manage an actual model of your business from that you can depend on year in and year out and know that your model will give you a return on investment. On our annuity leads, it's typically between 6 and 8x year over year. That over for the last 20 years, we have proven with all our thousands of agents that we work with. In life, it is relatively the same. And if you need someone now who can actually also step into really step alongside of you to help scale that business to get that consistent cash flow of leads from the leads you've already generated, that's where Financialize is. We're really the enhancement to your own business model to come alongside you to make sure you're being a success.
Michael McMillan, everybody. That was awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate you.
I think everybody, if you're tuning in right now, that was a little lead gen masterclass. So take what Michael said, run with it. If you want to reach out to Michael, if somebody wanted to reach out and learn more, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, if you're looking for leads, come to financialize.com. If you're looking for help with lead revival, you can go to myleadrevival.com and see everything you need to have there. And of course, if you're looking to get a hold of me, I'm all over LinkedIn. That's my place of choice. You can always feel free to reach out to me. I pride myself on always being available to people who need help.
Awesome. Be good, everybody. Great conversation, Michael. That's all we got for this episode of the Accelerate Your Insurance Sales Podcast. One of the most valuable things you can do to help us and other new potential listeners find our show is for you to rate the show and leave a review. So as a special bonus for you, if you leave us a review, take a screenshot of your review and send it to me as a DM to my LinkedIn profile. I will send you a free copy of our LinkedIn Diamond Playbook, our proven 4-step strategy to grow your business on LinkedIn. So go right now, leave us a review, screenshot it, and send me a DM on LinkedIn. Also, please share this podcast with anyone you think would enjoy it. That's it for now.